All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. My name's Jeremy Haynes. I've been an agency owner now for the last 11 years, and I've made 36 different businesses, more than $1 million a month. Our biggest client that we've ever worked with, that we've contributed a lot of effort, time, and therefore results into, has been upwards of $5.5 million a month. To be clear, we've had many businesses that raised capital for, that manage, without exaggeration, billions of dollars in AUM. These lessons that I break down for you inside of my YouTube channel are all geared towards helping you increase your probability of getting to your $1 million month. Today's lesson is a killer. If you are not aware of it, actively paying attention to it, and not just yourself, but in all of the staff that you have as well. And that lesson's really simple. It's opportunity cost. Okay, I'll give you a simple example with something that most people would try to justify paying attention and time, and they'd look at it like a loss in the instance that they didn't do this. Allow me to break down a recent scenario for me. So as you can see, I'm in a new filming location. I'm here in a penthouse that we just secured for a 3-year lease term. And in the process of moving here, obviously there's a bunch of stuff that has to go from the farm mansion into the penthouse. And there's also a bunch of stuff that I can't bring with me. At the end of the day, the farm mansion is 12,000 square feet. It's on 5 acres of land. I had all kinds of toys. I had a dead Polaris slingshot inside of my garage, that little 3-wheel motorcycle thing. And I modded the hell out of that thing. I've put a total, without exaggeration, about 70 to 80 grand into that. It is probably the most tastefully modified slingshot. I don't identify with the demographic of people that buy those things and mod them. Most people have taste like shit, I tastefully modded my slingshot. However, I didn't ever drive it. It's hot as hell in Miami. That thing doesn't have a roof. So I don't know, for the last 2 years, that thing's just sat dead in my garage. And it has air suspension that I added to it. So it's physically on the ground, not capable of moving. And unfortunately, all it needed was just a little battery jump, but the battery's on the underside of the car. So you got to lift the car. A big pain in the ass, long story short. I had 2 ATVs that I purchased to ride around on all the local nature trails and farms and whatnot. It was really fun. In addition to that, I had a big trailer for the ATVs that I never used once, but the guy who sold me the ATVs gave it to me. I had an entire e-commerce business. It was called The Big Candle. Okay, it had these $300 to $500 candles relative to what I priced them at the time, and they were beautiful. Okay, incredibly well designed candles for rich people with big ass houses. Regular candles don't cut it when you got a lot of square footage. You got to have a big ass candle. Okay, so long story short, these candles I spent over the course passively of about 2 years developing, and I put roughly $60,000 into it. And divide that by 2 or 3 years, it's not a lot of money on a year-over-year basis, but still $60,000 in liquid cash invested into it. And I never really put any attention into the business. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of inventory that sat physically inside of the farmhouse in one of our rooms that we just kind of justified as a warehouse. Anyway, moral of the story, I digress. The point I'm attempting to make is to give you an illustration of some of the things that I had within this house that I just really wasn't paying attention to, that at the point of moving, that's where I can officially put attention into it again if I wanted to. I could have, without exaggeration, probably made at a fire sale price, $20,000 on that heavily modified, tastefully modified slingshot. Probably could have made, I don't know, maybe $5 grand on the ATVs in a fire sale. I probably could have made, I don't know, if I would have sold that big candle business, anywhere from $100K, maybe even a little bit less, depending on, once again, if I wanted to fire sell it, go through a bunch of due diligence with a potential buyer or not. And instead, every single thing that I just named, I have one of my staff members, his name's Jay. He's been with me since 2018. And I just called Jay and I said, listen, man, I've got all this stuff and I can't move it over to the penthouse building. If you fly down here and you just do whatever the hell you want with it. You could sell it, you could keep it all. I don't care. I will literally hand you a business. I will give you the titles. I'll sign over the titles to you to these different vehicles in the trailer. And there was a bunch of other little stuff. I had some G-Wagon rims in the garage. I had electric bikes, just a bunch of other little shit. I was like, you could do whatever you want with it once again. It's completely up to you. I just ask that you don't tell me anything about it at all. You take full responsibility of it completely. If I happen to call and ask how things are going, just tell me good news. I don't want to hear any kind of bad news about it. And you have until this date in particular to get it all out of there. Do you want to take advantage of that? And he was like, hell yeah. Because to be clear, for Jay, not to make Jay sound poor here, to be clear, but dude, to Jay, that's a great opportunity. That's something that he can take advantage of that will make him at least tens of thousands of dollars, okay? And tens of thousands of dollars for Jay is an impactful amount of money. I don't want to sound pretentious when I say this, or money doesn't mean anything to me, because I love money. I'm all about getting richer, if you can't tell, all right? But the tens of thousands of dollars, it's just not worth all the time, effort, and attention and potential stress that I would incur in comparison to all of the things that I could have done otherwise to make money, which I did do instead. I trust myself as an earner. I know that with that additional time, effort, and that reduced stress bar, I was gonna make more money with it. And I did. I did make far more money with that additional time, effort, and attention into other endeavors that I just kept my attention on. It worked out exactly as I had thought. Jay came up on tens of thousands. I came up on hundreds of thousands, and I didn't have to stress about it at all. I did the same thing with gym equipment. I wasn't gonna be able to move a gym into the penthouse. This particular building markets itself as having the most amenities out of any building in the entire United States. I don't need a gym. You know, I got an incredible gym down here with an entire boxing ring in it, as a matter of fact. My point being, I didn't need the gym. Called my old personal trainer. Hey man, you want an entire gym? You know, he came down. I didn't even have to let him in the house. I wasn't even there. Told him where the key was. He went over there, got everything he needed, took it out, that was it. And I'm doing the same thing with other little stuff that I can't bring here. You know, and so here's my point, right? Opportunity cost. There are many different instances over the years that I can sit here and go through on a instant by instance basis where I've essentially traded up, okay? That's the verbiage I want you to understand if you don't generally use the term opportunity cost. It's just trading up, okay? I'm trading up to get richer. That's it, okay? An example of this, like, dude, I don't clean shit. But as you can see, like my house isn't dirty. Why? I have 3 maids, okay? I have 3 maids. They come over and they do shit I would never do myself even if I did clean, okay? I haven't been to a grocery store in, I think without exaggeration, probably like 8 years, all right? I don't grocery shop. I use Instacart and I get groceries delivered literally right to my front door, okay? I don't go to the doctor. I have a doctor come to me. It's an incredible service. I've gotten x-rays at my house. You can check my Instagram at Jeremy. Scroll down my feed long enough and you'll see me in the driveway with my red 458 at the farmhouse getting an x-ray in my front stoop, okay? Mobile x-ray. It's like 500 bucks. You know how long it would take to go to an emergency room and sit there and just wait to get a basic thing done like an x-ray? Makes no sense, okay? My chiropractor comes to my house. You can have dentists come to your home. Now, a lot of you probably sit there and think when you hear these kind of little things and you're like, oh, like as an example, I had a family member I told to trade up so they could get richer about grocery shopping. And they were like, oh, well, I won't be able to pick out my avocados, you know, like how can I trust the shop? It's like dumbass shit like that, you know? You gotta understand, there's 2 sides to the coin. Number one, you gotta trust the fact that you're making the right decision and that with the available time, you're gonna use it properly, right? I'm an earner. With the additional time and the lower amount of stress that I have doing just the little things I just articulated as an example, I make far more money as a result. Okay? I've historically used the example of my barber. I don't go to the barber shop. My barber comes to me, okay? My barber's up the road in an incredible place in Sunny Isles, Florida. Takes a good 30 minutes to get to the barber. I get my hair cut 4 times a month, weekly. If I got my hair cut twice a month instead, just to be conservative for what regular people do on a regular basis, it would cost, just in time, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, without even considering the time in the barber chair, because that's gonna happen regardless, whether it's here or there. Just the 30 minutes in drive time there, 30 minutes in drive time back. That's 1 hour. If I did that twice a month, that's 2 hours. There's 12 months in a year. 12 months in a year, 2 hours per month in just drive time is 24 full hours. There are 365 days in a year. 1 day consists of 24 hours. 1 full calendar day of all 24 hours would be taken up just in drive time to and from the barbershop. Now listen, I've got some sick cars. Okay? Cars I enjoy driving. And I still won't justify a full 24 hours in my entire 365 calendar year going towards barbershop drive time. It's not how it works. You don't get excessively rich and hit $1 million months that way. That's not how it goes, okay? Now to be clear, this lesson correlates heavily into the business. I get people all the time in terms of business opportunity cost that ask me questions that to me, because I think that way, immediately propose like, I don't know, just kind of like red flags in my head of, well, I mean, why are you thinking of doing that when instead you could do this? You know, it just doesn't make much sense. As an example of that, low ticket versus high ticket, okay? Mathematically, it makes far more sense to hit $1 million in a month when you sell something for high ticket price point. As an example of that, like my goal in my marketing agency since 2017 has been, I want to make $1 million a month off of 10 clients, meaning each client has to pay $100,000 a month. $100,000 a month means obviously I have to provide an exceptional amount of value. I get paid net rev share. That means I need to net each client I work with in that example $1 million net, trackable back to my actions, my marketing agency's actions, in order to get paid that $100,000. I need to work with the right people. There's a whole set of rules to that game, okay? But I only need 10. If I sold something for $10,000, I need 100 people in order for me to hit the $1 million months, okay? If I sold something for $1,000, I need 1,000 people to come in and buy in order for me to have $1 million months. My point being, the higher ticket that I can sell, the lower the quantity of people is that I need to sell to. I don't know what year it was in our marketing agency, we had a gentleman named Eric. He's a client of ours, great testimonial from Eric to be clear. He sold franchises, and I won't say the specific name of the franchise so I can give more details about the story here. So point being, at this time with Facebook advertising, you could target net worth, liquid assets, meaning like cash in somebody's account that they had on hand, active income, you could target credit scores. And this Eric guy, he was selling a franchise that cost $1.2 million. We had successfully generated over the course of about 6 months, 9 sales for the $1.2 million franchise offer that he had, okay? That's a total of about $10 million and some change, just in upfront franchise costs that we helped Eric make from leads that we directly generated and drove to his discovery day that he hosted at Disney World, out of all places. Now, to be clear, my point being, he needed 10, well, technically 9 people in order to make more than $10 million, okay? Now, respectfully, $1 million a month is $12 million a year. So he's just a shy bit off, okay? But he only did 2 discovery days per year. Okay, and in this particular case, he did 1 in the first 3 months and 1 in the second 3 months, and then that was it for the year. So my point being, a lot of people, when they approach business, like I had a guy DM me earlier on Instagram. My Instagram, by the way, is @Jeremy. If you haven't followed me or checked my page out, I got some great content on there, and I post daily stories. But I had a guy DM me and he said, hey, I'm looking for some help with paid advertising. And I was like, yeah, great. Like, give me some details. Like, what are you selling? How much does it cost? Like, do you have any links to the funnel? just some general questions. And he came back and said, hey, I charge $50 a month. Right away to me, it just takes the life out of me hearing that somebody's doing that. However, he was doing about $155,000 in recurring revenue. Now, to be fair to him, I mean, that's a strong, that's a really, really, really good client dilution ratio there. If he lost hundreds of people, it wouldn't make too big of a dent. And to be fair, when you do sell high ticket, like let's use my example, the $1 million a month with 10 clients that pay $100,000 a month, if I lose 2 clients, I mean, that's 20% of the total revenue. So it's a lot. If he loses hundreds of people, it might be like single-digit percentages for his total lost opportunity and lost revenue in that example. So to be fair, there's pros and cons. When you charge exceptionally large amounts, like obviously if I wanted to make $1 million a month and I charged $1 million, if I lost that client, I go to 0. That's not that good. You don't want to be that far into that scenario, right? That's why I gave the math example all the way up to $100,000 in a deal. However, at $50 a month to get to $1 million a month, I mean, that is a tremendous amount. Let's sit here and do the math together real quick so you guys can see for yourself how many people that guy would need to sell in order to get to that point. So $1 million, okay, divided by $50 a month. That's 20,000 people that this guy would have to sell. Now, to be clear, it's important to note, I'm a paid advertiser. So this guy did all that organically, which made sense to me, okay? Organically, there's no acquisition cost in most instances besides time, effort, and maybe some payroll cost on video editing services or payroll positions that you might have to support your organic marketing efforts at that level. Some software costs, there's barely any acquisition cost, if you even wanted to justify that as acquisition cost. My point being, dude, when you go into paid ads, it's you are just lowering the amount of money that you are going to be able to spend on acquiring customers when you charge so little. So if in his case, and in most people's cases when they charge low ticket, the cons are, especially when you're talking paid ads and you want to increase your probability to get to $1 million a month. First of all, once again, 20,000 people versus 10 in my example. Pretty substantial difference, okay? Pretty substantial difference. If, once again, you even wanted to charge 1,000 people $1,000, right? That's still far more probable to happen to only get 1,000 yeses instead of 20,000 yeses. In addition to that, the cost of acquisition, right? The guy charging $50 a month, he either has to do one of two things. He either has to lose money, or ideally, in the best case scenario, with the best advertisers, the best statistics, everything would have to go perfect to acquire that customer at a break even or even profitable amount up front. $50 doesn't give you a lot of room. It doesn't enable you to compete, right? If somebody else comes along and charges $100 for the same thing, they can charge twice as much as you and spend twice as much as you, maybe more depending on their cash flow situation and their reserve, to front cash to acquire customers at a negative or break even rate, and then they're profitable every month after that. That's the issue with that model. It takes too many yeses and it puts you in a position where you have to get out competed by everybody else. Like you just can't compete. The solution in that example would be if he charged an upfront annual amount, that would at least stack his odds a little better because it'd put him in the high hundreds of dollars to be able to acquire customers. They make them a little more competitive. But same thing with cold traffic, your funnel has to be in a great condition, and your marketing stats, very, very possible, and the probabilities are substantially more in your favor if it's a couple $100 versus 50, And like I said, his lifetime value, assuming his retention rate is good on those people he's acquiring for $50 a month, he could be profitable in the months following, but that's whack. The better game, once again, and it's just math, is the high ticket scenario, substantially greater probabilities. So an example of opportunity cost, like I have clients, like I literally have one right now I can give you an example of. And same thing, I won't say their name just so I can give you more details on the situation. But to be clear, this particular client has an offer that's $10,000. They have an upsell that's upwards of $20,000, okay? And they sell the hell out of it. They're at $902,000 as of last month, okay? This month, absolutely, they'll break $1 million a month. When they started with us, by the way, they were around $300K to $400K a month. Their previous advertiser was holding them back. It's been 2 months since we worked with that client, by the way, so pretty substantial growth. Now, to be clear, they'll break the $1 million a month this month. However, there's a lot of stuff that they're starting to bring up that they have like wanted to do for a while that we just say no to, because it's opportunity cost. We're focused on scaling the hell out of the offers that are working the best right now, which is the high ticket offers. We take as many people as we can through a VSL call funnel, and in addition to that, we have a once a month to sometimes 3 times a month, based on the availability of the business owner, live webinar. Okay, those 2 funnels alone, get the business, and I've got the business from $300K to $400K a month all the way up to $902K last month. And once again, they will hit more than $1 million a month this month. My point being, they want to introduce low ticket stuff now. All we have to do in terms of organizational effort, the people within the company, the staff, the business owner, everybody just needs to keep their focus on what's going to continue to create momentum, what's going to continue to scale and continue to create additional revenue. There's no need at all whatsoever. There's literally zero justification to focus time and organizational effort and resources on low ticket in that example, okay? The logic of low ticket, don't get me wrong, I typically refer to it as a paid leads strategy, okay? I could acquire a customer to liquidate the ad spend with a low ticket product, and then I could give those leads to a setter, and those setters could work through them, schedule those people onto the closer's calendar. And if I acquire that lead in the first place at a self-liquidating dollar amount, or even profitable ideally, the money that I make minus the sales commissions is going to be pure profit. Okay, so that's the appeal in this example, the low ticket. And I'm not opposed to doing that with the intention of doing it as a paid lead strategy. However, there's appropriate times where you can and cannot focus on different things. So once again, back to my original example I provided, like absolutely there was a time in my life where as an individual, I could sell my Polaris slingshot, I could sell my ATVs, I could sell the electric bikes, I could sell the old G-Wagon rims, I could sell like the candle business and go through a due diligence process with a bunch of people. Or maybe not even sell it, maybe just keep it myself and start giving it the attention it deserves to scale it up, But my point being, this current version of myself, I've got extreme momentum on the existing income producing assets, time and attention that I put into what produces income, and it makes no sense sense to deviate that momentum into new things. An object in motion is easier to keep in motion. That's a universal law. It is literally a principle of operating on Earth. It's like gravity. You can't argue with gravity, okay? That's not how it works. Let me grab the pen. Okay. So moral of the story is you can't argue with gravity, okay? Once again, universal truth. That's just how gravity works. It's the same thing with momentum. Like, people literally act like the only universal law on Earth is gravity and that's it, you know? They forget about the basic things you learn in like science class in elementary school. You know what I mean? Kinetic energy, momentum, motion. It's like basic stuff. So my point being, this applies 1000% from getting a business in this case that's gonna hit $1 million this month. What's the speed in which that's probable to get to $2 million a month? What's the speed in which that's probable to go from $2 million to $4 million a month? Well, it's excessively higher to be probable when we focus the time, effort, and organizational resources on those initiatives. You discount the fact that as a business, when you think you're doing things like hedging, you know, and you take that precious organizational time, effort, and energy and resources, and you put it into, you know, all the side things that you think are smart to do. Believe it or not, man, those things can kill your momentum. They can destroy you, because once again, to keep an object in motion that's already in motion and make it go faster is a higher probability than to deviate attention into something that's not moving at all yet and making it get in motion and then speeding it up to the point where it contributes as much as the other thing that was already in motion. That's much more probable to go faster. It's a fine game, you know, it's a fine game to juggle in business, to determine, not just as a business owner, but as a staff member as well. You gotta juggle it at the executive level, the management level, and the individual tactical players in the game. Who needs to do what? Who's potentially focusing on something that is like the equivalent of grocery shopping or driving to the barber shop, and who needs to cut that out? It's a great lesson to teach everybody within the organization, okay? It's a great lesson to share. It's a great lesson to live as a truth and a principle. And as I've given you examples, I've shown you personal examples, I've shown you money examples, I've shown you business examples, okay? This type of mentality, once again, not just being in yourself, but being in everybody that is in that business that you're working on or working with, this is what creates $1 million businesses. You like lessons like this? I've got a shitload more of them inside of my Inner Circle program, where we want high-level people like yourself. If you are an earner, okay, and you're making good money, and you want to be around a bunch of other ballers that are trying to get a hell of a lot richer than they are now, and I mean, we got some serious hitters inside of this group. We've got people in there doing as much as $5 million a month. We got several people, not just one or two, we got several people in there doing $1 million plus a month already. In addition to that, most of the group is anywhere from like 100,000 to 500K, trying to work their way up. The minority of the group that's at the lower end of the spectrum is like 20 to 50K a month. It creates a nice balance. It's a nice balance to be able to talk up, talk down, you know, and just get a lot of perspective. I know this might sound selfish because I run the thing and put it together, but I mean, truly, it's an incredible group of people, and it's benefited me in many ways as well in terms of getting richer from all the advice, perspective, and lessons I've learned from all the other people inside of the group that I value. So, moral of the story, we'd love to have you a part of it. 4 times a year masterminds, twice a month one-on-one calls, once a week weekly group calls, and a big group chat full of everybody who's rich and trying to get a hell of a lot richer. The link's in the description, and I've got a bunch of other stuff in there as well if you're interested in courses or all the other fun stuff that I offer, both paid and free. Check it all out. Watch some other videos while you're here on the channel. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment with a lesson you learned, or comment something that you want to contribute to the lesson so other people can see your perspective. And per usual, I appreciate you. Go out there and get rich. Talk soon.